SKOL Vikings, let's win this game.
Vikings fans, Minnesota has turned into a pressure cooker over the past few hours. There's medical news that could change everything, a major mystery surrounding the offense, and even a wake-up call from a franchise legend who couldn't stay silent. The NFC North race is officially in survival mode, and an internal report left fans stunned. Stick around till the end because what just leaked is massive. But before we dive into all of this, let me say one thing. Hit that subscribe button. It's completely free and it helps this fan-driven project more than you imagine. Smash the like button too, because it makes YouTube show this video to more Vikings fans around the world. And drop a comment, because this space belongs to everyone who makes up the Vikings Nation. Let's start with some good news. Finally, Christian Darrisaw and Brian O'Neill are trending in the right direction, and that completely changes the mood around the offensive line. After that disaster in Los Angeles, where the offense looked like a sinking ship, having both of them back could be what saves this team in Detroit. Kevin O'Connell even said during his presser that the goal is to get Darrisaw into a consistent rhythm of practice and recovery. He called him vital to the team's consistency, and he's right. When Darrisaw and O'Neill are healthy, the offense looks alive again, the quarterback gets time to breathe, the running game opens up, and the playbook actually works. The problem is, when they're out, we've already seen what happens. Against the Chargers, the team had possession for only 20 minutes. 20! The defense had to stay on the field the rest of the game and got worn out. The result? 37-10. One of the ugliest losses of the O'Connell era, no exaggeration. And if Darrisaw and O'Neill don't play in Detroit, it could look the same. Or worse. The truth is, the team is standing at a crossroads. 3 wins, 4 losses, and the clock's already ticking. Losing to the Lions now would be a near-fatal hit to playoff hopes. Winning, on the other hand, could reignite belief and flip the tone inside that locker room. To be honest with you, they need those guys on the field, period. O'Connell also mentioned that the Sunday-to-Sunday schedule might help both recover without pushing too hard. But there's one detail that has fans nervous. Darrisaw's knee situation isn't totally clear. Some reporters are saying the injury might be more serious than the team's letting on. That makes people wonder, are they hiding something? Meanwhile, center Ryan Kelly is still out with multiple concussions and might not return this season. So imagine this, no center and no tackles. What's left? Justin SKOL and Walter Rouse. Nothing against those guys, but it's just not the same. You can't go up against Detroit's pass rush with a patched-up line and expect a miracle. The good news is both Darrisaw and O'Neill are improving and could be ready to go. If they hit the field at Ford Field, the team at least has a fighting chance. With J.J. McCarthy back under center, protection becomes a matter of survival. If they're healthy, there's hope. If not, buckle up, because things could spiral fast. Drop a comment. Do you trust their return or think the team's just delaying the inevitable? Sunday's game could test every nerve of the Purple faithful. What went down during Monday's practice also raised some eyebrows. The Vikings held a light workout at TCO Performance Center, and rumors started flying. Carson Wentz wasn't there, and that got people talking. The guy played hurt against the Chargers, got hit repeatedly, and somehow stayed in the game. Honestly, it looked like O'Connell hesitated to pull him out for his own safety. And there's more. J.J. McCarthy is expected to start against the Lions, which changes the entire offensive plan. The problem is, if Wentz isn't healthy, the immediate backup would be rookie Max Brosmer. Depending on how recovery goes, the team might even have to bring in an emergency quarterback. Classic Vikings, right? Every time one issue gets solved, another one shows up. On top of that, 2 important players also missed practice. Jonathan Greenard and Josh Oliver. Greenard tweaked his ankle but walked off on his own, so it doesn't seem too serious. Oliver hurt his foot and ankle early in the first quarter and never returned. Those are key losses, especially when the team's offense is trying to find rhythm against the best pass rush in the division. The silver lining? Darrisaw, O'Neill, and Andrew Van Ginkel were all out there practicing. That's a real sign of hope. Those 3 are crucial to bringing some stability back. Van Ginkel's been dealing with a neck injury, but his presence at practice shows the coaching staff believes he's close to returning. O'Connell even confirmed it during his presser, saying he felt positive about where they are. Fans know what's coming. Detroit doesn't forgive. The Lions' defense brings heat for 60 minutes, and if that line isn't intact, J.J. could be in for a long afternoon. The Vikings need their guys healthy, and this week's practice schedule will tell the full story. What we need now is consistency. It's not enough to play well one week and collapse the next. The season's on the line. Every mistake counts double now. That light Monday practice might have seemed routine, but in reality, it was the temperature check for the rest of the year. Comment below if you believe this group can bounce back or if injuries and hesitation are still dragging them down, because Defend the North is going to need steel nerves this Sunday. This next part shook the fan base. Jared Allen, one of the greatest defensive legends to ever wear purple and gold, didn't hold back. He went on the Up and Adams show and said exactly what's wrong with this team. Poor fundamentals, lack of fire, and most of all, bad tackling. And when a guy like Jared talks, you listen. He kept it simple. If you can't stop the run, no defense will survive. Facts. Against the Chargers, the Vikings gave up 207 rushing yards and missed 9 tackles. 9. How do you stop anyone like that? Not even peak Jared Allen could have saved that unit. What's wild is he wasn't blaming the coordinator or the scheme. He was talking about attitude, using your hands right, taking contact, playing with pride, things that don't take talent, just willpower. And honestly, that's what drives fans crazy. You can lose while playing hard, but you can't get pushed around like that and show no fight. The numbers back it up. In losses, the Vikings average 10 missed tackles per game and give up 150 rushing yards. In wins, it drops to 8 missed tackles and 104 yards. Still bad, but a difference. Even so, those good numbers are worse than last year's, when they allowed only 93 yards on average. The system's regressed. What used to be a strength is now a weakness. Jared said it best. It's not about reinventing football, it's about getting back to basics. And he's right. Sometimes this team overthinks everything, chasing new schemes instead of fixing the simple stuff. Hit, wrap, and finish. Against the Eagles in Week 7, it looked like they had cleaned that up. Then came the Chargers, and boom! Same issues again. It's frustrating, but Allen's words matter. When a legend who still bleeds purple speaks up, it's because he still cares. He wants to see a team that fights back, not one that folds after the first punch. Comment below if you think this roster will take his message to heart, or if the Purple Faithful are watching a group that's lost its pride. Here's the cold truth. The Vikings' road back into the NFC North race runs straight through November. Starting this Sunday in Detroit. Sitting at 3 wins and 4 losses, the team's still breathing, but barely. Everyone knows what another loss would mean. Goodbye to the division, falling to 3-5 while the Lions climb to 6-2, and the Packers stay hot at 5-1 would bury Minnesota deep. 3 wins behind, morale in the basement. Climbing out of that hole by December would take a miracle. But if they win, everything flips. Back to 4-4 right on Detroit's heels, and pressure on the leaders. The Lions are favored by 8.5, and that says everything about the challenge. They're at home, packed crowd, high confidence, but the Vikings still have a card to play. J.J. McCarthy returns, and if the offensive line is healthy, the upset is on the table. This isn't blind optimism, it's football. Every game starts 0-0, and if they execute, they can rewrite the script. November is the defining month. Win against Detroit, handle business versus the Ravens and Bears, and they'll be alive heading into December. Even if they split road games against Green Bay and Seattle, finishing 7-5 keeps them in it. Sounds tough? Sure. Impossible? Not yet. The rivals' schedules aren't easy either. Detroit faces Washington, Philadelphia, then Green Bay, a brutal stretch. The Packers host the Eagles, and Philly looks like the NFC's top dog again. So if Minnesota takes care of its own business, the door stays open. But if they stumble, this season turns into a grind. The fans feel it, the locker room feels it, and O'Connell's project starts to wobble. This is the moment of truth for him. Either he steadies the ship, or the noise grows louder. Vikings fans are tired of living in almost seasons. Every year starts slow, ends too late, and the playoffs happen without us. Enough. It's time to show fight, passion, and purpose. Drop a comment. Can they flip the script this November, or is Defend the North heading for another heartbreak? Because this month will separate the believers from the bystanders. And to close it out, here's one story not getting enough attention. The new 2026 compensatory pick projections are not looking good for Minnesota. What was once projected as up to 3 extra draft picks is now down to 1. And in NFL roster building, that's a big loss of leverage. For those unfamiliar, these picks are awarded to teams that lose more qualifying free agents than they sign, basically a reward for developing talent. GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has always valued that system, but things shifted. With inconsistent performances and a string of injuries, the balance tilted in the wrong direction. The team will still likely get a 3rd-rounder for Sam Darnold's deal with Seattle, but they lost the projected 4th-round pick. Why? Eric Wilson, who was supposed to play limited snaps, ended up logging way more due to injuries to Blake Cashman and Ivan Pace Jr. That made him a qualifying player in the comp pick formula, canceling out what would have been Minnesota's extra fourth. One of those cruel NFL ironies: a guy plays more to help the team, and it ends up hurting their draft math. To make things worse, Trent Sherfield and Johnny Munt, who could have earned the team additional picks, aren't playing enough with their new teams to count toward compensation. The result? Less draft capital. Analyst Nick Court from Over the Cap, the go-to expert on this stuff, already updated his projections. He now has the Vikings down to one compensatory pick, with only a remote chance at a seventh rounder if specific conditions are met. That means less flexibility in the offseason. Fewer trade chips, fewer chances to move up in the draft, fewer affordable reinforcements. For Kwesi, this makes creativity a must. To be honest, it's a reminder of how thin the line is between planning and improvising in the NFL. One guy gets hurt, another overperforms, and suddenly the front office math shifts. But it's also a warning. If the season keeps slipping, it might be time to start prioritizing young talent and thinking draft before it's too late. Comment below. Do you think this front office can adjust with fewer picks, or will the Vikings feel the weight of that loss next year? Because Vikings Nation is already thinking ahead to 2026. After all that, it's clear the Vikings have reached one of those turning points that define a season. Health returning on offense, pride being tested on defense, a franchise legend calling out the standard, and a division heating up fast. It's a lot for one team to handle, but that's exactly why we love this purple chaos. Because deep down, we still believe. Always have. And if this team fights back in Detroit, everything changes. So drop a comment. This space belongs to everyone who lives the purple faithful. And get ready, because the next one's going to be fire. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings. Let's go.